Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host, coming to you from Cedar Falls, Iowa. Cedar Falls is north of Cedar Rapids, still on the Cedar River, which also runs through Waterloo. And Cedar Falls is the home of the University of Northern Iowa, for those of you keeping score at home. So, and by the way, you and I had a guy drafted in the first round of the NFL draft, an offensive lineman. So did Iowa, but UNI is not as big of a school and not as well known for offensive linemen. So, and I apologize, I didn't look up his name, but I did see it when I was kind of perusing the draft. So, good job on their football team there. Anyway. So somebody asked me about this, and I was just looking at the news, and you know, I can't resist, because guess what? The Truckers Convoy, or as I like to call it, the out-of-work Grifter Convoy, that has a few bobtails and a bunch of pickup trucks and some ratty-ass RVs, they are headed back to DC. So, man, it just in time for the summer tourist season. And they said that this time when they go back, they're going to be serious, and they're going back with some teeth and some backbone. So I guess they went out to California to get dentures and become part of the chordata phylum. By getting backbones installed. I didn't know that was a thing they could do, but apparently they went to California to get teeth and backbones. Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to protest. You know, again, they got, I mean, there's a million things you could protest in this country that are actually existent, like, I don't know, poverty, the fact that our educational system is like worse than some third world countries, the fact that we have infant mortality rates that are horrible, the fact that the United Nations has identified some states as having like third world medical systems for pregnant women, and forget about it. I mean, look, these guys are just getting money from dupes and driving around the country, causing more demand for diesel fuel. And you know, I mean, honestly, if they really wanted to do some good for, I don't know, everybody, they could volunteer at a soup kitchen. They could plant trees. They could clean up the hot sides of the roads where other truckers have chucked out piss bottles. I mean, there's a million things that we need to fix in this country, but these guys apparently have enough money and time to protest something that doesn't exist, namely a vaccine mandate. And by the way, you know, when a company mandates something, that's the free market economy. I mean, you know, everybody loves the free market until, like I've said before, their ox gets gored. And, you know, you can't have it both ways. You want the free market, you want big business to control your life, and you vote for the people that want big business to control everything. You know, you get what you get, okay? And so, you know, it is a little bit bizarre, but I mean, I guess everybody needs something to do, and so the Trucker Convoy is just out there, like you said, taking money from people that are too stupid to realize that the Trucker Convoy has no clue what they're doing other than driving around and wasting fuel. And you know, good for them. I mean, it's like just come up with some fake idea and then get other mindless people convinced that your fake issue is worthy of them turning over their hard-earned money. I mean, you know, the saying is a fool and their money are soon parted, and I guess it's true. You know, I mean, these guys don't even know how to, like, if they really wanted to change something, they would at least know that you need to, like, take a shower, brush your teeth, and then go to one of the House or Senate office buildings, which are open to the public, and you could go straight to a senator or U.S. representative's office and ask to talk to them. Now, a lot of times they're not in their offices. You just have to talk to one of their staff members, but you might get a hold of their chief of staff, who's usually a pretty important person to them and has their ear, or you might just get a hold of an intern or a legislative assistant or something like that. But you'll have your voice, and I've seen it in action. I've been in those offices. They're actually, it's way easier to get in those buildings than it is, say, even some courthouses. You just have to park somewhere, and, you know, or take the metro. That's how when I've had to go down to Capitol Hill or up to Capitol Hill, I take the metro. It's a lot easier than parking. But my point is that there's a way to get things done, but I can't imagine that driving around and causing more traffic congestion in one of the most congested areas in the country is the best and most effective way to get the government to change something. Now, if you just want to attract attention for being a moron, and you want dupes to just give you money because they think you're doing something constructive, then maybe it is the best way. So anyway, I mean, as you can see, I'm kind of on the fence about the Grifter's Convoy. But anyway, the other thing that somebody actually asked me about in one of the comments, they asked me about this 100% traffic, or excuse me, 100% commercial vehicle inspection that went on in Texas not too long ago. And, you know, let me just say this. The governor of Texas is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He's a career politician. He, you know, I don't know what he's gunning for next, what office or whatever, but he doesn't really understand a lot of things. And, you know, so he was like, well, I'm going to have the Department of Public Safety, which is what the Texas State Troopers are called, DPS troopers. I'm going to have the DPS stop every single truck coming into Texas, into the United States, though, let's be candid, from Mexico. Now, here's the problem with this, and this just shows what a chucklehead this governor is. The federal government, and if you've ever been down there, you've been through one of these CBP, Customs and Border Patrol checkpoints, right? I've been through their checkpoints, and guess what? I went through, I had a co-driver, the guy was sitting there on his giant stool, and he was like, have a nice day, right? No hassle, you know. I mean, I don't like getting in line and waiting around, but it was as low stress and easy as going through the agricultural checkpoint in California. It was you know, it was a nothing burger. But here's the thing, those CBP guys are actually pretty good at ferreting out the two things that the Texas governor said they were going to put a stop to. One was drug trafficking, drug carrying, drug mules, whatever you want to call the people that would transport illicit narcotics, and human trafficking, right? Well, here's the thing. In the entire time that Texas DPS fucked up international commerce and cost a lot of shippers millions and millions of dollars in rotted produce and other claims that are going to be made against these loads, and cause like 30-hour backups, they found no contraband, zero, like a goose egg. Like, they found no drugs. They issued some, out of service orders for like leaking brake chambers. They found some oil leaks, some worn out tires, just bullshit, right? They didn't find anybody that was transporting any human beings. But guess what? During that very time period, the CBP seized almost a ton from one shipment, almost a ton of meth. And I also read about another stop where they found a bunch of people in a trailer. Okay, so I'm not saying this doesn't happen, but you know, the DPS and the Texas government should just leave shit to the professionals, right? You know, because basically by doing what he did, he not only made himself and the state government of Texas look like a bunch of fucking morons, but he also insulted all the CBP people by saying, we don't think you're doing a good enough job, so we're going to execute these inspections. Now, don't get me wrong, the state of Texas has a mandate and has every right to inspect a truck, right? If I go into Texas, I could get pulled in, or I could just to a weigh station, I could get pulled over and they could say, hey, we want to do a level 1. We want to do, you know, we want to inspect your truck. We want to look at your license, everything. I'm okay with that, right? Like, that's a thing. That's part of, you know, that comes with the territory. But these guys and women who are bringing stuff from Mexico to the United States, they work really hard and they're good people and they don't make a lot of money. I think those drivers make around 15 bucks an hour, which is good money for Mexico, but it's not good money here, especially if you drive a truck. I mean, it might be if you're working at Mickey D's or something. But here's the thing. Those people bringing stuff in from Mexico, those drivers, they are doing people like me a favor. And I'll tell you why. Because I've hauled stuff out of Laredo, okay? I don't want to have to wait to go across the border. They're willing to do it so that I can take a load from Laredo to, say, Massachusetts. I get paid like $3,000, $4,000 for doing that. But I couldn't do that if they wouldn't come across the border, because I don't want to sit there and go across the border, right? And also, they help me because I can take a load into Laredo that they'll take across the border. They'll take it to the final destination for me, and they'll pick up a load going north for me. Now, they don't know me, I don't know them, but we have a relationship that's important. And for some guy who doesn't give a fuck about that Mexican guy, doesn't give a fuck about me, and really doesn't even care about the consumers in his state that are missing out on the stuff that's coming from Mexico, because a lot of it's like stuff that goes local, like it's going to HEB, it's going to whoever, right? It's fruits and vegetables, right? And you know, I've hauled out of Yuma and fruits and vegetables coming out of Mexico, right? Like, this is just BS political grandstanding that's hurting the average guy, right? And they found no drugs, no human smuggling, really didn't find any contraband. And all they did was jack up the border for a whole bunch of days, and they put people way behind the 8 ball. And, you know, again, Texas can inspect any truck that comes into Texas. I am not rejecting that notion for 1 second. But, you know, this guy's just a moron. And then what did he do? He bust like a bunch of people to DC. Like, that backfired. I mean, it's like, don't you actually have a day job? Like, isn't there something wrong in Texas that maybe needs something actually wrong that needs fixing? And by the way, you know, if drugs coming into this country are such a problem, then, you know, you could do something crazy shit like, I don't know, put millions of dollars into drug treatment programs. You could do any number of things, and you know, and as far as like people coming into this country, you know, I don't have a problem with somebody wanting to come here and make a better life for themselves, and I don't even care how they get here, because guess what? I got family that just showed up. I mean, it wasn't yesterday, it wasn't last week, it was like 100 years ago, but they just basically showed up, got off a boat, told some people what they wanted them to tell them was their name, and then they went and found people that were from their same county in Ireland that knew them or knew their family, and then they got a job. And guess what? No one's ever questioned them or their descendants like me. That's what we're talking about here. So anyway, for the Grifters Convoy, you know, have at it. I mean, all you're doing is making enemies. And by the way, my wife has a lot of chickens, and I'm telling you, some of the eggs that come out of those birds are big, like way bigger than you can get at the store. Some are smaller, but she has several breeds of chicken. But you know, if we got any leftovers, I might just pass them out to people in the DC area, because I mean, and who knows, I mean, in DC it might be more than just eggs. I mean, there's some rough neighborhoods around the Beltway, you know, but yeah, I mean, I just don't get it. But what are you gonna say? Anyway, thanks for tuning in. So I'm hoping to get out of this DC sometime before my next birthday. I've been backed into a dock for quite some time, and I still have a green light. They haven't touched this trailer. But I'm not the only guy with this problem. Everybody's been here forever. I felt bad for one guy. He had another delivery to make, and he's in a door now, but he's been here. It's like 7:30 at night. He's been here for like 4 hours, and he just got in a door, and he has another delivery to make. And I heard him talking to them at the desk, and they were basically like, yeah, well, we tell everybody you might have, you know, you should block out a whole day to be here. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys, the cable company? Anyway, talk soon. Bye.